Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. You got two left feet. Get on the ballroom beat. They're dancing in the street. They're on the ballroom beat. We can tango, we can swing, we can do anything. Walking through the door and waltz on the floor. You wanna feel the heat? Get on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. Foxtrot on the ballroom beat. Salsa on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat.
Good evening and welcome to On the Ballroom Beat. I'm your host, Lania Berger, and we have a very special treat for you tonight. Because of Super Bowl Sunday, it is our football edition of On the Ballroom Beat. And joining me all the way from Arthur Murray in California, I have former professional competitor, worldwide Arthur Murray consultant, and franchisee of 5 studios in California, the fantastic Chris Lynam. And he will be, oh, there he is. Hi, Chris. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here tonight, and we're excited to talk football with you, of course. But before we do that, can we talk just a little bit about the Arthur Murray Live blog that you write?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I've got to tell you, as a ballroom dancer, it is fantastic. I just love the articles that you're writing. What made you decide to start writing?
Oh gosh, well, writing was what I did before I became a ballroom dancer, and kind of put it on the side, and just fell in love with teaching students. And we were reconfiguring our website, and our website team was looking for one of our admin team to start writing a blog. And I said, I used to write for my college newspaper, and I like to write, scripts for movies, ideas and stuff, and so maybe I should do it. And they were like, why didn't you tell us that before? And then it just took off.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And I've got to tell you, you have some outstanding topics out there that I think are really pertinent to ballroom dancers and a lot of different folks. I know that some that stood out to me, you had 5 reasons why ballroom dance teachers obsess over basics. You had, 31 tips for competitive students and 7 things that should be ignored by ballroom dancers. Where do you come up with all of these great ideas?
I have a really weird brain, but I also, fortunately, with the schools that we have, I travel to all of our schools like I would, like any consultant might, visit different schools, and I just talk to a lot of students, and so I always want to find out kind of what they might be struggling with, and I always try to put myself in their shoes, and then I just read a lot. So I try to find articles that I might want to click on, and I feel like if I would click on this article, then I think that other students might click on it too.
And click on it, they have. Your articles have gone Arthur Murray viral. I mean, all the Arthur Murray studios across the world love your articles. What kind of response do you get from your readers?
Oh gosh, it's been pretty incredible. It's very surprising. I mean, I remember as a competitor, the feeling that you'd get when someone would walk up and say, we were clapping for you, we've been cheering for you, and not really knowing who that person was, but to just be so appreciative to know that someone was watching you. It's like the same feeling. I was just at the Hula-Rama, and a student from Chicago came across the ballroom and just said, I read your articles every single day, and I don't even let my teacher start our lesson until we've read through the article together. And so that's like part of their warm-up routine. And I just thought, wow, that was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's got to be so rewarding for you. That's outstanding. Now, Chris, a lot of our viewers are, of course, music and ballroom dance enthusiasts, and I think that they would find your articles extremely interesting. Can you tell them how they would get to your blog, to your articles?
Yeah, it's www.arthurmurraylive.com/blog.
Yeah.
And then we have a little something for everybody, and we just installed a Google search on there because we just have such a large database now of articles. So
Yeah, it's outstanding. Now, I've got to tell you, there was one that stood out to me, and it was your How Fantasy Football is Like Ballroom Dancing. Now, my husband loves fantasy football, and of course, being his wife, I've learned a lot about fantasy football along the way, and we just got a real kick out of your article. It was so great. I'm assuming you play fantasy football?
Yes, that's one of my other kind of closet obsessions that I try to do in the wee hours. I'm absolutely obsessed with fantasy football.
Did you win your league this year?
I did not. I've won it before, and this was the first year in a while where I wasn't either the winner or the runner-up, and so that was, I took third place in one league, and I was second place in another league, and then I went into a cone of silence for a week after that.
Listen, that's a pretty good season. Well done. And you watched the Super Bowl on Sunday, I assume?
I did. Yeah, actually, my wife was actually in your area, and so I had my kids over the weekend, and we had a Super Bowl Sunday party, and my son's inviting random people from the grocery store to our house. Nobody showed up, but yeah, we watched it all together. My kids sat through the whole thing. I was really impressed.
That's great. That's great. Go Peyton Manning, right? That was awesome. So anyway, tonight, to our viewers, we're going to be doing a football-themed episode of On the Ballroom Beat. We're going to talk about the rules of fantasy football and how they apply to the ballroom dance floor. So for rule number 1, I'm going to toss the ball over to Chris Lynam. Let's hear rule number 1.
Okay, so rule number 1 is to draft for the long haul. So every great fantasy football player understands that drafting well is the difference between winning and losing. And so to draft well, you need a ranking system, and when it comes to dancing, there's no difference. So the fantasy football rule here is you wouldn't fill your fantasy football roster with just wide receivers, and the dance rule here would be don't fill your dance program with just fast dances.
Yeah, very good one. Very nice. I'm going to move into our rule number 2. Rule number 2 is understand the rules of your league. Very important. So different fantasy football leagues, of course, have different rules. You've got PPR leagues where you get points per reception. You've got different points for touchdowns, different numbers of wide receivers you can play. Am I right on all this, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Sounds like your husband might be even more hardcore than I am.
So anyway, just like that, we need to understand the rules of the ballroom dance floor. And so what I mean by this, understanding the rules of the league, on the ballroom dance floor, we have smooth dances that travel around the dance floor. They go counterclockwise in line of dance. We have rhythm dances that are spot dances, and we know that we're going to dance those more at the center of the floor. Advanced dancers tend to go on the outside edge of the floor. More beginner dancers tend to stay more on the inside edge. These are different rules that help you to be more successful on the ballroom dance floor. And these are great things that you can learn at Arthur Murray practice sessions and Arthur Murray practice parties. And so just like your fantasy football league, you've got to know the rules before you draft. When you're dancing ballroom, you want to know those rules of the dance floor before you head out to your first social event. Back to you, Chris, for rule number 3.
Rule number 3 is just a little patience, yeah. And so I want to just use that as a moment to plug that Guns N' Roses is making a comeback, and I'm really excited about that. So this is just a little patience. So the first thing is you should never trade away an underperforming running back just because of a poor performance in week 1, and that would be panicking, and the same can be said on the dance floor, and I am definitely guilty of doing that on the fantasy football side of things. So the fantasy football rule here is don't trade good players for just one bad performance, and learning how to dance on the ballroom side, learning how to dance takes a full season, and so you've got to allow some dances to develop, and they're not always going to be performing at optimum conditions, and you need to give yourself a chance to go through a process and not just make a pass-fail assessment right at the very beginning. So the bottom line here is don't put your dance shoes on auction just because you stepped on a toe or two. And like we said, learning to dance is a process, and you have to just allow for it, especially if you are a macho fantasy football playing gentleman like myself.
Great tip, Chris. And it's true, some people do that. They want to throw the towel in, and you're watching, and you're like, you haven't even gotten to the best part yet. It's true.
Some dances, like the foxtrot, for example, kind of gets a bad rap because you learn it right out of the very first lesson, and then you want to move on from it because it just seems so basic. You don't realize like what it can really offer. So
Yeah, that's a really good example. That one is a really good example for it. Okay, rule number 4, work the waiver wire. So in fantasy football, there's a waiver wire, and this is where you can start to make changes. And you're going to check out who's on the waiver wire and who might be worth picking up and adding into your fantasy football team. And it's important to always be in tune with that. See what's going on the waiver wire and what you can pick up and add in. The same is true for ballroom dancing. When you're at an event where people are dancing, practice session at the studio, group class, or even out social dancing, it's important to watch that waiver wire, or rather the ballroom dance floor, to start learning about other dances, other styles, and maybe higher levels of dance so that you can easily communicate with your teacher what it is that you'd like to add to your roster. So as an example, if I'm out working the waiver wire and I see a cha-cha and I've never tried it before and it looks interesting, I'm going to talk to my teacher and see if that might be something that's appropriate to add to my program. So work that waiver wire. Chris, we've got a break for commercial, but we're going to be back right after this, so don't go anywhere, folks. We still have rules 5 through 10 for you, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you on the other side on the Ballroom Beat.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just 1 or 2 options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex. Short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Beltran Dental Surgery is dedicated to providing the highest quality dental surgery.
Teeth in a Day allows a patient to walk in with their old teeth, sleep under IV sedation, and walk out with a brand new smile. Unlike dentures, Teeth in a Day allows you to eat what you want and still feel like you have your own teeth.
From wisdom teeth removal to implants or creating a whole new smile, call now or visit our website to learn more about our procedures. Get a brand new smile today.
That loves going to the dentist because it's made for you and me.
My name is Dr. Becerra from New Tampa Pediatric Dental, providing a comfortable atmosphere in early dental care. Gives kids a great start for healthy teeth and gums for life.
My middle son did not like to come to the dentist, but now he loves to come to the Beehive.
You don't have to be afraid to go to the dentist. Believe me, Dr. B and his worker bees are the best. Call New Tampa Pediatric Dental today.
I'm Lania Berger, and my special guest tonight, Chris Lynam from the Arthur Murray Dance Studios of California. We are talking to you about fantasy football and how it is like ballroom dancing. Now, Chris, we left off on your rule coming up next. We've got rule number 5. Chris, let's hear it.
Okay, this is rule number 5. This is sleepers, sleepers. Where did you get those sleepers? So, sleepers in fantasy football are the players that really, if you're a great player, you stash away somebody that you know has a lot of upside. And you hope that nobody else has discovered him, and you keep him on your bench, and then maybe because of an injury or something comes up, and you've got this player that pulls it out for you when it matters most, and nobody thought of him except for you. So great fantasy owners will always have one of those guys, a couple of those guys stashed away. And on the ballroom side, learning a variety of dances, besides just the really popular ones, are kind of like your sleepers. So let's say you go to a salsa club, and the term salsa club is like the biggest misnomer, because everyone just assumes you go there and you just dance salsa. When reality, hits when you show up, and they're playing, half the time they're playing merengue, they're playing bachata, zouk, a little cha-cha, maybe some rumba. And so those are like your sleepers. So while everyone else is stockpiling salsa moves, if you had a little bachata in your back pocket, maybe some merengue, a little zouk, something like that, those are like your sleepers. So I always think that, when you have a sleeper dance, when you've got something may not be as popular, you're preventing yourself from, dancing is kind of like the stock market, and if you've got a really diverse portfolio, just like in fantasy football, you're not going to be loaded up on one particular dance, and then if things kind of crash on you, if some of your favorite dances aren't being played, you have something else that you can use in a pinch. So that's rule number 5, sleepers.
Love it. Really good. And listen, I'm going to take us off topic for just a moment because you mentioned zouk. And zouk, of course, super popular in California and down in Miami, and is starting to spread. And we have it here in Palm Harbor. One of our students, Larry, he loves zouk, but it's still in the catching on phase for us, especially if we go out socially. It's not quite there yet. Where's it at for you guys on the West Coast?
Yeah, it's probably, bachata has really taken off out here on the West Coast like crazy. I'm sure it's like that down in Florida for you guys. And zouk is kind of like that dance, like, a little bit like that dance kizomba, where, it's some of those kind of more niche dances. And so I think for the people that want like salsa street cred, they have a little zouk or kizomba, definitely some bachata in their back pocket. So it's definitely still kind of in the niche area. People are really passionate about it. When we did our article about the zouk with Jessica Holte, one of the developers of the zouk syllabus, we had people getting into it, like, not a tirade, but it was pretty heated comments, and but it created a lot of really positive discussion about what Arthur Murray's done to develop the zouk syllabus. So I think it's got like a really hardcore niche fan base for sure.
Do you ever have folks come into your Arthur Murray requesting zouk? Is it to that point for you yet?
We're getting, a little bit. It's definitely, bachata has become more of like the primary interest dance, and whereas before it might be salsa. So we do have people that are requesting bachata. We don't have people that are coming in requesting zouk right off the bat, but maybe here and there. We've had a little zouk and a little kizomba as kind of like a complementary dance, and then we can kind of gauge from there that those people have probably been to the club before, maybe been to the Salsa Congress or something like that, where they were featuring something like that.
Very cool. Yeah, we're still at the point where new students see it on our schedule and say, what is that? So hopefully it continues to develop, we'll see. But I'm going to move into our next rule, rule number 6. This rule of fantasy football is that true love may conquer your team. True love may conquer your team. So here's the deal in fantasy football. Let's say that there's this player that you just absolutely love. You're a huge fan of, let's say, Tom Brady. And what true love conquering your team means is that you draft him too early just because you love him so much. And so what's important is that you understand where in the draft order Tom Brady should come, how long you can wait to get him so that you can get, higher picks, better picks at the beginning, rather than just throwing it all out because you love Tom Brady so much. So here's how that applies to ballroom dancing. There are times that maybe you're going to be really excited about something you saw on Dancing with the Stars, or some really advanced thing that you saw another student doing at the last showcase, and you're going to be really eager to learn it. But just like you've got to wait for the right order in your draft to pick your player, you want to wait for the right order of learning to pick up these new moves. So it's really important that you learn your basics and you learn the basic techniques and the foundation steps before you start jumping into something that's too advanced. Because of course, if we do that, sometimes we can create bad habits that are even harder to get rid of later, and it can be detrimental to your dancing. So don't let true love conquer your dancing. Make sure that you learn things in the right order, and your Arthur Murray instructors, of course, are all well versed in this and certainly more than capable to put you on the right track to be a great dancer who always looks fantastic on the floor.
Yeah, and I can add something to that is I was once in a fantasy football draft, and I didn't have the #1 pick, but the guy with the #1 pick, and I'm not even joking, with the first pick, he picked Eli Manning.
No!
I'm telling you. And that's when I thought for a second, I think I am in the same draft room as Archie Manning, Eli Manning's dad, because there's no way someone picks Eli Manning first in the draft.
No.
But, you know, from the dance standpoint, we always like to say that it's easier to program somebody than to reprogram somebody. And so when you follow things in the right order, like you had said, you know, it really does make a huge difference in the future because you're laying a really great foundation.
Very true. Thanks for that story. Do I know who that was?
No.
Just curious. Just curious.
We can do a whole segment on the Arthur Murray Poster Boys Fantasy Football League. So.
That'll be a whole nother episode. We're going to move to your next rule. You ready, Chris?
Okay, yeah. All right. So rule number 7 is play your studs. Okay, so, you know, when push comes to shove and you get to playoff time and you're trying to figure out who to play and how to set your lineup on your fantasy football team, you know, one of the most common bits of advice from all the fantasy football gurus is to play your studs. And that means that they always use a dance phrase to explain this, is that, you know, you go to the dance with the date that got you there, and or maybe I've got that mixed up, but dance with the date that you brought anyway.
There you go. That's a good rule.
Something like that, yeah. So, but the idea is that, you know, you don't want to suddenly try to do something magical and creative when it comes down to pressure time. And so your studs on your fantasy football team are going to be your best picks. It's going to be your Odell Beckhams, your Tom Brady's, like you had mentioned. It's going to be, it definitely is not going to be DeMarco Murray, who was one of my studs a year ago and is no longer a stud. So on the dance floor, that's going to really be the dances that you probably feel the most comfortable with. You know, I remember having a conversation with a student, and they came back after a wedding, and it was a really important wedding. It was their kid's wedding. And they came in, and they apologized, and they said, "We are so sorry. I know that we let you down." And I said, "How could you have let me down?" I said, "Did you dance at the wedding?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "Great, that's why you came in." And they said, "Yeah, but we only did swing the whole time." And I was like, "But you were dancing at your kid's wedding." And sometimes we forget that, you know, just dancing, even if it's the thing that you feel most comfortable with, what that told me was that one of their studs was the swing. And so you might have 3 to 5 core dances that you feel really good about. And so even if you can't utilize all of those other dances that might be newer, you know, you want to make sure that when you do take your dancing public that you're dancing with your studs. So that's going to be the dance that'll get the most action when the pressure's on.
Nice tip. Nice tip. Chris, what do you find are your studs? When you go out socially with Daisy, what do you dance the most?
When we go out socially, we actually don't really dance. We've joked around and said, because we've got 3 kids and 5 schools and all these responsibilities, that we said one day we're gonna have our babysitter come over, and then we're just gonna drive to a parking lot and sleep. But actually, you know, when it comes to, you know, probably the time that I do the most social dancing with Daisy is, you know, at some of the Arthur Murray Dance-A-Ramas, and they'll have a reception for the professionals. And I think, you know, the dances that I think can last everybody all night is probably no different for our students, would be, you know, swing and cha-cha, I think are really big. You know, salsa, you know, you could dance all night with the salsa. And I love, a nice classic foxtrot. For me, foxtrot, I have like this really deeper appreciation for it because I really didn't like it when I first started learning how to dance. And then to see it come full circle, it's kind of like a best friend that you have that you didn't like when you first met him, and then now you're inseparable. So that's my relationship with that dance.
That's pretty cool. Well, I'll tell you, when my husband and I go out social dancing, we find that the rumba can fit to almost any kind of tempo. So we use that a ton, and then we use swing a lot. Those are the two that I think we use the most often when we're out socially, because they just adapt really well to just about anything that's on.
Yeah, actually, if I have to choose a dance to dance romantically in my kitchen, I always choose the rumba. So I should have said that. Yeah, especially with Valentine's Day around the corner.
That's right. That's your stud dance. Moving on to the next rule, you've got to know your bye weeks. It's very important to plan for your bye weeks. That's your rule number 8. Now, a bye week in football means that the team isn't playing. And so, of course, when you're drafting your team, you've got to be careful of where all these bye weeks fall. And so for some fantasy owners, they will make sure that they strategically spread out their bye weeks. Some of them will put them all in the same week and just take that week as a loss. But the idea is that they're looking at the whole season and planning for what's on its way. And that's the same thing you've got to do with ballroom dancing. Take a look at your season and see, do I have a cruise coming up? Is there a high school reunion or a family or friend's wedding that's on its way? And let your teacher know about it so that they can help you to prepare for that special event that happens to be coming up in your season. Because as we were talking about, there are lots of different dance styles that are going to fit in different environments. And if your teacher knows the kind of environment that you're preparing for, they can make sure that you've got the stud dances ready for your bye-week entertainment, such as a cruise or a wedding or a party. So important to plan for the whole season, don't you think, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes a bye week can catch you by surprise, and that's kind of looking short-sightedly at your season. And so it's nice if you can have like the long view and really fill up your social calendar, and having a lot of dances to choose from will allow you to do that.
Absolutely. Rule number 9.
Okay, rule number 9 is know your opponent. So in fantasy football, let's say you've got a great running back, but they're going up against, the Denver defense. We saw what the Denver defense did in the Super Bowl, and they really showed that defense does win championships. And so if you were going up against that defense, you probably are going to be careful about the player that you're going to put into your lineup, knowing that you're going to be going up against those guys. So the same can be said with your dancing. The more that you know about your environment, the more equipped you'll be when you show up. So every now and then we'll do an event with our students where we'll have a live band, and sometimes we can tell the students that we're prepared for it or not because maybe they're so used to a 90-second dance at one of the parties, and now this band is playing some 6-minute song that's going on forever, and people are dropping off like flies. And so live music is an example of that environment that you've got to be prepared for it. Or if you're going to a certain kind of club, knowing those additional dances just to stay on the floor is really the number one goal. The longer that you're out there and the more equipped you are to be there, then you really do know your opponent. So every dance floor is like a defense, and how you prepare for it will determine your outcome. So that's
Love it. Very, very true. And you talk about the goal being to stay on the dance floor. We always say that to our students. The only reason we want you to be sitting down is because you want to sit down, not because you don't know how to do it or you feel foolish or you're too embarrassed to get out there. That you're out there whenever you want to be out there. And don't you think too that it's all about knowledge that gives folks confidence to get out there?
Yeah, I think it's knowledge, and also you've got to kind of take small little pressurized steps. I think that sometimes people are ready to jump right into the deep end and dance in public, and other people need to start at the shallow end and work their way up. And so I think that's where the practice parties at your studio or your in-studio events can really be helpful to log pressurized minutes to develop that confidence, and then to apply the knowledge that you're getting. So that way you can really see the everything coming full circle.
Yeah. Cheers to that. Are you ready for rule number 10? Chris, I cheated on this one. This is not fantasy football. This is just football. But it was my last rule. Here's my last rule for you. There's only one quarterback. You've got to follow the quarterback. So trust your quarterback and follow him is your rule number 10. And what that means is that when you're out on the football field, there's one guy calling the shots. You could hear Peyton Manning Super Bowl Sunday saying his Omaha and all his other commands, telling all the players where to go, what plays to make, and what to do. Now, it's really important that there's not more than one quarterback out there because nobody would know who to listen to. Same thing is true in ballroom dancing. In each partnership, you've got to have one leader, and that follower has to trust in the leader to call the shots, make the plays, and get the touchdowns for us. So important that that follower is not trying to play quarterback herself, but instead is trusting in the leader, following his steps, and allowing him to make the decisions on the dance floor. We see that a lot, don't we?
I'm just tearing up right now. Hang on a second. Yeah, you know, we like to say that the follower really is like the middle linebacker, but a much better looking than a middle linebacker. But the idea is that the follower has to read and react to what the quarterback does. What the defense will never do, the linebacker or the defensive back, they'll never ask the quarterback, hey, what are you going to do next? Because I want to get ready. The whole idea, what makes it, you know, that strategy and kind of that fun, that you know, kind of like a date where you don't know what's going to happen next. You know, the only thing that can create that is by trusting in that leader and letting the follower just read and respond sensitively. We have a saying that we used to use all the time is we say, no lead, no follow. And so if he doesn't lead it, then she doesn't follow it. There's no, you know, it's, you know, you have to just let him, you know, call the shots, and she's just going to respond sensitively. And that's how you really know that you're working as a unit.
Absolutely. Great advice. Chris, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us on the Ballroom Beat. It went fast, didn't it?
It went really fast. No, absolutely. I had a great time.
It's been lots of fun having you. And listen, to those of you out there viewing, make sure that you check out arthurmurraylive.com. And then if you hit that / and blog, you're going to get some really, really great articles from Chris Lynam. He and his wife own 5 studios over in California, wonderful, wonderful studios. And it's no surprise because they have such fantastic franchisees running the show over there. Also, if you want to see more of On the Ballroom Beat, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/ontheballroombeat. That is where all of our episodes end up going up for you to see. And so you can catch anything that you might have missed before on demand at facebook.com or on our YouTube site. Thank you again to Chris Lynam for joining us tonight. Such a pleasure to have you, sir.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me. It was great to do it, and wonderful way to talk about football and ballroom dancing, 2 of my favorite subjects of all time.
Woohoo! Well, listen, congratulations again to the Broncos, and we will look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Ballroom Beat.
Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. You got 2 left feet. Get on the ballroom beat. They're dancing in the street. They're on the ballroom beat. We can tango, we can swing, we can do anything. Walking through the door and waltz on the floor. You wanna feel the heat? Get on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat. Foxtrot on the ballroom beat. Salsa on the ballroom beat. Cha-cha on the ballroom beat.